Father's Day. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton. If this is your first time with us, thank you especially for sharing your morning with us. And there is an informational packet over at the Welcome Center for you. And if you take just a minute to fill out that tear-off strip that's at the bottom of your program, or the side of your program, we would very much appreciate it. You can drop that at the Welcome Center as well. Let's see, we had a little scramble this morning, so I'll see if I get it right. Giving our reading and invocation is Lana Mayhew, and our vigil holder is Linda Smith. And Lana and Linda Andriaco will offer our interfaith candle lighting this morning. This is something that we do every Sunday to remind us of the wisdom that's available from all spiritual and religious traditions if we look for it. So today the kids, teens, and tweens are with Stephanie outside in the dirt.
Yes! I'm going to go.
Let's all go play in the dirt.
My mother is sitting right here saying, you never wanted to be dirty as a kid. How'd you end up with the gardening?
She likes it. She likes it. So let's just say a quick blessing for our youth and for Stephanie and for the garden that's growing outside. If the rabbits will leave it alone. We know that God is present there in the rabbits, in the plants, in the seeds, in all that is happening. And most of all in our youth. Their beauty and their clarity is shining example for each of us in how to simply show up as who we are here to be. So we give thanks for their presence today, and we know that today for them is filled with joy. Thank you, God. And so it is. Thank you, guys. I think they're going to... Oh, there goes Stephanie. There they go. We have a Father's Day gift for all of you who are fathers, two-legged, four-legged, winged, whatever kind of children you have. My husband got a card from the dog today that said, if you need the hail chewed out of something expensive, I'm your dog. And if you've been to my house, you know it's true. I have an 8-pound dog, but it looks like I've been living with a flock of beavers. The legs of my furniture all have chunks taken out of them. She's this big. I don't know how she does it, but she's the dog. Anyway, we wish you a truly wonderful Father's Day, and we'll pass those gifts around in a little bit. I just want to tell you that there are a couple of Cooking with God events coming up that you can still get in on. There are a couple of tickets left, I think, for June 23rd. Let's Roll, an adult bike ride followed by lunch at Carillon Brewing. You can take a short ride or you can take a longer ride. Come on, put your spandex on, get your roll out, and let's go. I will be there with bells on. Actually, I just got new wheels on my bike, so I'm really excited.
Bells on.
Yeah, I'll put bells on it too. June 30, vision boards and brunch. You'll come away with a framed up vision board to help you focus your attention. And there are lots more. Check the updated Cooking with God catalog for more events and get your tickets while you still can. You can call or stop by the office during the week to get your tickets. Where would that catalog be?
There was some here and out front.
Okay, at the front door and over at the Welcome Center, you can pick up a copy of the updated, the hot off the presses, Cooking with God catalog. And please mark your calendars for Monday, June 25th. That's a week from tomorrow, 7 p.m. Lisa Ferraro and Etika Luckett will be here from Columbus for what they call a soul session. It's about 90 minutes. And it is music and poetry and silence, and it will fill you up for a good long time. I'd like to have this become a quarterly event, but we got to have the attendance to support it. So please join us, June 25th, 7 p.m.
Let them know what song that we do, that they sing.
Yeah, you know that song that we do every week, Reflection? That's a Lisa and Etika song. And they're incredible women individually and together. They're just a powerhouse, so please join us. It's a real gift to give yourself. If you can carry a tune and want to join a little choir we're putting together, there's a sign-up sheet. There's a clipboard over at the Welcome Center. We have a couple of command performances to deliver, and then we'll have to see what happens. But please, if you can carry a tune, join us, and we'll see what happens. Our practitioners are here to pray with you at the end of service. If there's something that you would like prayer for, you can just walk up to any of them with the teal or white stoles on and ask for prayer, and they are happy to make that gift to you on Sundays. We call it a 1-minute miracle. Please take advantage of it. Sometimes we have a hard time seeing what's really going on, and they can cut right through to the truth for you. So that's their love offering to you today. We have something really special happening today that I want to tell you about. My talk is going to be quite short because we have the delightful task of welcoming Isla Mae Slater. I got the middle name right, didn't I? Good. She's almost 7 months old, and we get to bless her on her life's journey. If you've been here for more than a couple of years, you probably remember Ashley Skoda, now Ashley Slater. She moved to Australia and found this amazing husband. He is amazing. I love him dearly. And Ashley is here, and Anthony is here to celebrate his Father's Day with us with this beautiful child, Isla, who's even cuter in person than on Facebook. And Ashley's parents are here as well. So they are here to bless us, and we have the honor of blessing them as well. So that will be happening in just a little while. But before we get to that point, it is time to listen to Becky and the band sing The Greatest Gift of All.
We light the first candle in honor of Christianity. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. We light the second candle, honor of Gnosticism. That which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing. We light the third candle in honor of Taoism. When you succeed in connecting your energy with the divine realm through high awareness and the practice of undiscriminating virtue, the transmission of the ultimate subtle truths will follow. We light the fourth candle in honor of Buddhism. Good causes bring good effects. Bad causes bring bad effects. Your own cause brings your own effect. We light the fifth candle in honor of Hinduism. Now, as a person is like this or like that, according as they act and according as they behave, so will they be. A person of good acts will become good. A person of bad acts, bad. We become pure by pure deeds, bad by bad deeds, and whatever deed one does, that he will reap. We light the sixth candle in honor of Sufism. My place is placeless. My trace is traceless. Neither body nor soul, I belong to the beloved. Have seen the 2 worlds as one, and it is that one I call to and know first, last, inner, and outer, only that breath breathing the human being. We light the final candle in honor of mystical Judaism. The secret to happiness of the average human being is not so much dependent on validation from our ever-changing society, but rather on one's own ability to create yeshmiyana, existence from nothingness, light from darkness, and sweet from bitter. This kind of creation is boundless and encompasses all areas of human activity. The reading today is by Ernest Holmes. How would it be if we all opened a spiritual account with the bank of life and realizing that we were drawing on the infinite? Each day deposited enough hope and happiness and faith to more than meet any emergency that might possibly arise. The wonderful part about this is that we know life contains all these things, and it wants to give them to us. It is intended by the divine scheme of the things that we should have them. So if you can just take these words into that sacred place for a few moments of contemplation. So how good it is to know that right where we are, God is. We are part of that infinite energy of God that lives and breathes within us and all around us. It is the very breath that we are breathing, that it is beating our heart. It is absolutely everywhere and in everything all the time. And so I know that right here, right now, that our service today is in divine order and divine right action for Reverend Cece, knowing that her words are heard by us so deeply. And so I know that our band and the children's church and every single person that is here today is absolutely blessed. And together we say, and so it is.
We only have one pair of readers today, so they have to share them. So I got up this morning and walked outside and was just like captivated. It was so beautiful. You know, it's got that kind of sweet, heavy, misty quality in the air, and the birds were singing, and it was just gorgeous. And then I turned around and stepped right into the spot where the cat had just thrown up. And I thought, what a microcosm of life, right? I mean, sometimes life is just so spectacular and wonderful, and other times not so much. And some of those not so much things can really be a lot more difficult than cat. Yak. I was thinking this morning of the story of the Buddha whose mother died like 7 days after she'd given birth to him. And his father, who was the king of the tribe, heard a holy man prophesied that his son, Gautama Siddhartha, would either be a king or a great soldier or a great spiritual leader. Well, he was kind of holding out for the king part, so he built a palace in which he locked up his son to protect him from seeing suffering, to protect him from seeing what happens in the real world, the hardship of human life, the weirdness of human life. Well, one day when he was, I think about 17, Siddhartha wandered outside the boundaries of the palace, and he was quickly confronted with human frailty. He saw a dead body, he saw a sick person, he saw an old person, and then he saw a traveling holy man. And Siddhartha was overcome by these sights, and the next day he left. Actually, this would have been, he was 27, because he left the next day. He left his kingdom to try to determine a way to help humanity relieve its suffering. Because he saw, when he walked around, that suffering was a defining trait of humanity. And he said there's got to be a way out of it. And of course he discovered and taught that the hard events of life are inevitable. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is something we can do something about. Sing, Isla. Sing, baby. Sometimes life is tough, even when you're tiny. And Ernest Holmes talked about that in this reading this morning, and in the chapter that it comes from, which is from Living the Science of Mind. He said it's just like a bank account. When life has enough love, when we feel enough faith and peace and joy and happiness, we have it to draw on when we need it. And he said life has all of that in infinite supply. So he says, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could build up a spiritual bank account so that when we have an emergency, we have what we need to draw out? Because we're always being called on to face those emergencies, aren't we? Whether it's cat barf or, you know, a moment we need more love and understanding, or a moment we need more faith and hope than usual. Sometimes, depending on the circumstances of our lives, we need great, big, huge amounts of all those things, don't we? When big stuff happens. And the cool thing is we do have that account. We already have it. We may not know it, but we have it. And just like a bank account, we have to deposit enough into it so that when we go to withdraw, we're covered. We aren't bouncing. It won't be checks, it'll be us bouncing if we don't have enough deposited into our accounts. The currency's a bit different. And Ernest Holmes says that spiritual currency is love. We earn the right to draw on the bank of love through practice, or the bank of life through practicing love. And he pointed out in the book, the chapter for today, that sometimes we don't realize that love is the basic currency of everything. Everything. Life's emergencies can get in the way, and they can make us skittish or nervous or untrusting or a little disbelieving of the power of this love thing. And so how do we move from where we are, that skeptical, non-trusting position, into a different position? Well, you know, all the mystics of every age and every tradition have told us over and over and over again that love is the very basis of life, that without love nothing happens, that love is the very quality of God, that provoked is not the word I want, inspired the divine to start creating and to continue creating out of itself. And when we bring ourselves into harmony with that, then when some life emergency or discordant circumstance shows up, we can draw upon that infinite supply of love to meet what we need. And we bring ourselves into harmony through the practice of love, by making little tiny deposits each day to that account, by spiritual practice, through prayer and meditation, through silent communion with whatever your concept of the infinite God is, by meeting the world with kindness, by saying yes when somebody asks us for help, by, you know, going out of our way to be nice to the one who bags our groceries. All those little things are like little tiny deposits in our spiritual bank account. And we deposit other things there as well, like faith. You know, faith comes from our spiritual practice. It comes from the grappling in the quiet with the whole question of how this all works and how we fit into it, and whether the universe is a friendly place, and all those kinds of things. And our faith grows, and we deposit it into our bank account. We deposit joy, happiness, peace, all those kinds of things. We put in a little bit when we're kind to the noisy neighbor kid, or when we greet people with a smile, or when we experience completely joy and happiness in a moment. That's a deposit. It's a deposit. You know, when we sit down at the end of the day for a little rest and just feel that sense of peace, that we've done what we could for that day, and now we just get to sit for a minute. That's a deposit. Because when we're conscious of it, kind of absorb its energy, and we get to then draw on it later when we need it. We come together in community for this very same reason. We serve each other. We figure out ways to love the one that kind of maybe bumps up against our corners. We remind each other that the currency we deal with is love. We support each other in making our daily bank deposits. And that's how we realize that, you know, the reason we have the bank account is because we're in partnership with the all that is. We're in partnership with the Spirit. And then when we need faith or happiness or peace or joy or love, it's there for us to draw on. This is how Holmes describes a transaction with the Bank of Life. When we meet some situation that seems full of discord and strife, we become quiet and say, I am bringing love to bear on this situation. A love which comprehends and includes everything. A love which has no hurt in it, which is not afraid. A love which is calm and confident and sure of itself. And when we do that, we have declared something from that place of faith and peace and harmony and joy. The words that we speak become the law of the situation, right? We bring our faith and our love and our joy and our harmony to the situation, and because that's what we're supplying, anything unlike that sort of gets healed away. It's gone. But we have to sort of plug in the deposit of energy, of love. And so when we have sufficient deposits made, these things that happen every single day, these little, emergencies of life, show up more as just a shadow on the path. Not anything solid, but just a shadow on the path. And they don't derail us, and they don't reduce us to despair. Because when we look at a shadow with love and light, the light of love, it simply dissipates, right? It's gone. When we stop and consider any situation in life with the eyes of love, the way forward becomes clear. We're only stuck when we're stuck in resentment, or anger, or jealousy, or fear, or one of those things. As soon as we put on our lenses of love, the way forward is clear. There's usually only one way to act, and that's the loving way. It's the loving way. The roadblocks get removed and the path becomes smooth. So the balance in the account that each of us has with the bank of life is equal to the love we have given and the faith we have used. Equal to the joy and the happiness we have allowed ourselves to really experience. Equal to the harmony that we allow ourselves to see. When I spend the time necessary to straighten out all my little animosities and judgments and resentments and whatever you might call those things, then all of a sudden I look and I have an ample balance in my account on which to draw. So when we take the time each day to make a little deposit, pretty soon we have an enormous balance. So that when something enormous happens, we have what we need to meet the exigency. I put in your bulletin a little bank account record, a little chart that a colleague of mine created, because I think it's a really good way for us to just stop and check. How are we doing? How are we doing with those deposits today and those withdrawals? Take it and use it to track how your spiritual practice is going. Are you treating the world with kindness today? Are your experiences of joy adding to your account balance? Are you conscious of them? Are you just letting them be as delicious as they can be? Are you enjoying the moments of peace and harmony? So you start to see how those get to pile up in your account and increase your balance. And then you can also take stock of how those emergencies, those cat accidents, those people pulling out in front of you in traffic, those moments of anger, how those are chipping away at the balance. And every one of us is in full charge of our own bank account. And so we get to see how we're going to balance it. What might I do to beef up my balance today? Maybe I need to sit in meditation a little longer. Maybe I need to pray for that person, the one I'm angry at and I just can't seem to let go of it. Maybe I need to pray for them. By the way, that is like the most powerful thing you can do when you're angry or resentful, is pray for the you-know-what. that you're mad at. That's how we start out. That's how we start out. I'm going to pray for that. And pretty soon we don't mean it anymore. It's just what happens. You know, maybe we need to pray for that person until the animosity is gone. Maybe we need to be a little kinder today. Maybe we need to say, this is one I have to do a lot, you know, be the first one after an argument to say, I'm sorry. Maybe there's something we're not doing that we ought to be doing to increase our bank balance. You know, all I can say is this form of banking produces way more joy than the other kind. It can actually bring the other kind into a lot more joy because we're practicing with our spiritual bank account first. It lets us see how we're allowing life to flow through us. And it lets us change what needs to be changed so that the flow is increased, so that the flow is more joyful, so that the flow is stronger and more faith-filled and more loving. And as I say, since each one of us is in control of what goes in and what comes out, the knowledge of how we're doing that lets us be more free and more generous with our spiritual assets. And the coolest thing about that is, the freer we are at spending our spiritual assets, the greater the deposit to our spiritual bank account. The two work that way with each other. If that's not a win-win, I don't know what is. So let's take just a moment and and do our spiritual mind treatment for this part of the service, and then we're going to do something really spectacular. So join me, please, in just turning within and knowing that there is within each one of us a love beyond description. For each one of us is plugged in to the source of love. Each one of us is like a wave on the wave of love, a wave on the ocean of love. We may seem small and rather fragile at times, but behind us is the power of the whole ocean. The ocean of love and harmony and joy and peace and happiness and well-being and creativity. The ocean of spirit. So we rest on that ocean and we rise up out of it as individualized waves. And sometimes we may feel like the waveness is too much for us until we remember that upon which we lie, that ocean of spirit. And we can take up a little of that ocean power into our little wavelet self and remember, oh yes, I have what I need today. My bank account is full because I have love, I have faith, I have joy, I have peace, I have happiness, I have harmony. And no matter what happens today, I can meet it and bring love to the situation, thereby creating that way, that clear way forward, that clear solution to whatever it is that is in my way, it seems in my way today. I can bring the whole power of the ocean of love. And so what I know for each one of us is that we remember that. We check our deposits daily. We take that little bit of time that is necessary to remember what it is we're made of, who it is that we are, and why it is that we are here. We're the place the divine shows up as each one of us, the unique and beautiful gift that we are. And we just let ourselves be that. We spend a moment thoroughly enjoying whatever it is that is in front of us. We spend a moment in peace, investing in and relaxing in that peace that passes understanding. And we feel our bank account growing. We spend all our days in kindness. Before we know it, we are rich beyond words. Our spiritual bank accounts are full to overflowing. And we are free. We are free. We are free because we remember that it is the whole ocean behind us, always. So I give great thanks. I give great thanks for our time together today, for each person who is here, for fathers everywhere. And I especially know for those fathers who've been separated from their children and the children that have been separated from their fathers, that the love of God still flows between them, keeping them in touch, reminding them that there are people who love them, and that ultimately the arc of the universe does bend towards justice. So I simply hold them in the light for a moment, knowing the spiritual truth that God too is present with them and in them and around them. Just as God is present in us and with us and around us, right here and right now. And so with great gratitude, I release this prayer into the infinite law, knowing it's already done. We let it be, and so it is. We're going to sing at the end of this baby blessing, because that way the band doesn't have to get up and down. So will Anthony and Ashley and Isla and Mark and Bonnie please come up here? See if we can figure out where to put you. Ooh, that was close. Almost wore that water. We can get everybody up here, right? That way we'll be on camera. Oh, yeah, but look at those shoes. She's gonna be trouble when she's a teenager, I'm telling you. Isn't she darling? We all here? There we go. Oh, good. Well, Isla, hello. And Anthony and Ashley and Bonnie and Mark, thank you for gracing us with this opportunity today. I'm so, all the way from Sydney, Australia, you guys. And you have family who love you everywhere. Isn't that cool? So Isla Mae Slater, almost 7 months old. Now she looks like her dad. Yeah. We celebrate you. We celebrate you today. And this is a poem by that great and famous author unknown. What shall we call you, one who comes across a great distance, bearing secrets of the future, your father's hidden wishing, and the remembrance of beauty that hung diffusely in the air all those long years without you. We call you the awaited one, the dreamt of one, the sung one. For now we sing to you a symphony of welcomes and wish for your smooth passage through the world, as if you were sweet basil, as if you were mountain rosemary, as if you were the golden sweetness of the apple and pear at harvest time. She's tired. You sweeten your mother's innermost heart and ripen her for every greater mystery. For she has kissed the hem of the most beloved in calling you forth, sheltering a wild faith in life, like a rose folded inward, hiding great fragrance, like a host watching over the sheep of a most cherished gift. You were so tenderly awaited. Little one, we sing to you now, calling you joy, calling you promise fulfilled, calling you sheer vastness and a little drop of honey. You joined us here. May your earthly journey be cloaked with songs and praises evermore. Your mother and father's vast hearts deepening as they awaited you, every tear they've ever shed for joy gathering and intensifying. For you, little drop of honey, coming across distances, great distances, just to see their faces at last, just to gaze upon the face of love at last. Family is our first and often our greatest gift, right? So we'll begin with an ancestral blessing. So pass the baby to the ancestors. Meaning that in the kindest possible way, of course. And Anthony, your parents aren't here, but we include Jim and Suzanne in our celebration today as well. So Mark and Bonnie, you've been wonderful parents to Ashley and wonderful in-laws to Anthony. You've been there for them, imparting wisdom and supporting them, giving your love unconditionally. So call to your minds now the wonderful people who've shaped your lives. What's up, baby? She doesn't want a nap. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, as far back as the stories you've heard and beyond. Remember what it feels like to be with those loved ones. Through you, Isla will come to know her ancestors and the lineage that is her birthright. Your words and memories will be as much a gift to Isla as her presence is a joy to the soul of this family. So we bless you in that and ask you to return the baby to the parents. It's called Pass the Baby. It's a fun game. Ashley and Anthony, the journey of parenthood is one of amazing beauty, and sometimes, you step in things too, right? But what we can see from the love that radiates from the two of you today is how amazing it is. And the love that radiates from this child. We gather here because all of us, along with you, wish Isla to grow up to be a woman who truly loves her life. You two, more than anyone else, will be the guides for her on this journey. So I have to read another poem. It's by Khalil Gibran, and it's about children. Speak to a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, "Speak to us of children." And he said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts. You may house their bodies, or for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hands be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he also loves the bow that is stable. Since you are the guides and guardians of this beautiful child, it's appropriate that we include today your promises to nurture your daughter in all ways. So as a promise to Isla and a reminder to yourselves, I ask you, do you promise to keep the bonds between the two of you strong, providing Isla, therefore, with a stable and loving home and a firm foundation and a good example of what it means to be committed to one another through difficult and wonderful times as parents, partners, teachers, lovers, and friends? Do you promise to celebrate all that Isla is now and all that she will become in the future, rejoicing with her at her uniqueness and supporting her in exploring it? Okay, let Anthony give me one poem. Into your hands I place the blessings of spirit and the recognition and of responsibility of being a father. With your hands you will uphold your child's future. Do you receive these blessings of grace?
Yes, I do.
And Ashley, into your hands I place the blessings of spirit and the responsibilities of being a mother. With your hands you will uphold your child's future. Do you receive these blessings of grace? And Isla Mae Slater, a beautiful name. Yes. Yeah. Look at this. Isla means island, and the image of an island is a beautiful one because they seem to stand alone, surrounded by water, but under that they're deeply connected to all that is. Deeply connected to the whole planet. So may you grow, Isla, strong-spined and able to stand on your own, yet deeply connected to the earth, to your family, to all of us, and to God. I bless you, Isla. Once again, with water, the symbol of the Spirit. The symbol of the Spirit of life. We celebrate your life and we signify our intention to nourish your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit, to allow your life to flow in the direction you shall choose, with the love and the guidance of God and family to help you on your way. And maybe you'll find your shoe too. Our prayer for you today is that the love that surrounds you will softly wash over you like rain every day of your life, like the water has washed over you right now. In the love of God, the love of your parents, and the love of your family, friends, and loved ones near and far. May love be all you know from this day forward. Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. Making my day. Thanks. Oh man, that's a nice thing to do. We should do that more often. All right, let's get this band up here now. The band is going to come up. We're going to go back to our normal order of things for reflection. And this song goes out to Isla.
I'm just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of light.
We are all just drops within a stream flowing towards an ocean of light. We may forget where we come from. We may forget where we're going to. I might not see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection
and Carol are going to pass out our Father's Day gifts now. So raise your hand, you dads. Raise your hands. Come in, and we will take an opportunity to support our vision here, our vision of loving and supportive community that helps us keep our bank balance topped off and helps us navigate those emergencies of life with joy and grace. And for our mission of providing powerful tools for people to change their lives by changing the way that they think as human beings. These are tools that help us walk through whatever is happening with that sort of grace and faith and joy that is ours for the taking. When we give to the center, that's what we're supporting. And so I ask you to give what you can. And be conscious about it. Be conscious that you are giving to something that supports you and supports others. And take your gift in your hands or your heart, if you're an automatic giver like I am, and let's affirm together, I know the activity of abundance in my life.
I know the activity of abundance in my life.
And also in this center.
And also in this center.
I give and receive generously.
I give and receive generously.
From the everlasting flow of good.
From the everlasting flow of good.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Wow. Thanks everybody for being here today. Thank you to the Slaters and the Skodas and that darling child. Here she is. And to our ushers and greeters and to this amazing band. Yes, always. You rock. What can I say? I love it when you go somewhere, Dan, and just start playing. This is great, isn't it? Thanks to our practitioners and our welcome team and every one of you for making today possible. Let's stand and do our closing affirmation and our closing song, which is put a little love in your heart and then love on the people around you. That's why we get together, right? Today I make conscious deposits.
Today I make conscious deposits.
In my spiritual bank account.
In my spiritual bank account.
I have abundant hope.
I have abundant hope.
Joy.
Joy.
Happiness.
Happiness.
And faith.
And faith.
To meet whatever life brings.
To meet whatever life brings.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a great week, everybody.
You too.